Hello, friends. My name is Elle, and this is Linda Moon, and you are joining us for another deep dive. This one is for the series A Day at the Museum from Volume 5 of Grow Kids. What we're going to do in this video is give you a big picture overview of what this series is all about, but then we're going to get kind of specific and look at a few of the details just to help you maximize the series and make it super awesome.
And as always, we are doing these deep dives. So if you're a Grow user, you can kind of get a head start on your planning for the next month. But even if you're not a Grow user, we always welcome you to check out our videos and steal some ideas, make them your own, and see what you can incorporate into your children's ministry. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to go through and we're going to first give you an overview of A Day at the Museum. And then we're going to get into a little bit of the theme and talk about all the fun ways you can decorate and spice up this series. And then we'll talk about the structure and some things that make this series unique as opposed to the other ones in Volume 5. And lastly, we're going to leave you with some fun tips that you can take and take A Day at the Museum to the next level.
Okay, so let's start with an overview of A Day at the Museum. This series, as you can probably tell, is all about museums. So think about like natural history museums. You could even think about like aquariums or those like discovery museums, where like kids go in and get to touch everything and spread their germs everywhere. So wonderful. So think that for the theme. And what the series is all about is we're kind of going back in history to like the beginning of Jesus' ministry. So the whole series is all about Jesus' early life and ministry. And yeah, we're going to look at 5 key stories from that time period in Jesus' life. And we're going to do it all through the lens of a museum.
And we're taking that experiential component just a tad deeper by connecting each of the big ideas with a sense, with one of the basic senses like sight, hearing, touch. And we did have to get a little creative with the wording because, taste and smell are not easy to do, but I think you are going to love it.
So let's look at how we do this and what this is going to look like. So in week 1 of this series, we're going to be looking at John the Baptist and specifically how John prepared the way for Jesus. So we'll talk about how John's message was all about getting ready for Jesus to come, to repent, and that he wasn't the one people were waiting for, but Jesus was. And so the big idea here, we're talking about the sense of sight. And so we're talking about how we can see God through Jesus.
In week 2, we are looking at the story in Luke chapter 3, which is a story of Jesus getting baptized by John and how God's voice was heard through the clouds. And as you probably have already deduced by now, this is about hearing. And we're talking about how this event established Jesus as God's son and how Jesus was obedient to God's plans and how we can do the same in terms of following God's plans for us. So our big idea for this week is we can hear God's voice if we listen.
And then in week 3, we're going to look at Jesus' first recorded miracle, which is at the wedding of Cana, where he turned water into wine. For those of you who are like, I don't know if I want to talk about wine specifically with kids, that is totally fine. You can use a different word. You could call it juice. You can do whatever you want, whatever works in your church. Go for it. We don't mind. Change whatever you want. But the idea here is we're going to play around with the sense of taste. And so the big idea for this week is that Jesus gives us a taste of God's power.
For this week, in week 4, we are going to talk about the story of Jesus teaching in the synagogue and how we learned about how all the people in the Bible were always astonished and amazed at Jesus's teachings. And that is because he fully immersed himself and was diligent in studying scripture. And so he was able to teach with authority. And so this week, we're talking about the sense of touch and how we want kids to fully experience God with all of their senses. And so this week, our big idea is the Bible shows us how to experience God.
And then the very last week, we are going to talk about Luke 4, which is where Jesus was rejected in his hometown, where he talked about his mission and what he came to do, and people didn't really like it. And so the idea that we're talking about here is that sometimes, following Jesus is going to make you seem a little bit different from others. We're going to toy around with the sense of smell in this week, so that will be fun. And the big idea that we're going with for this week is that following God makes us stand out.
And this month's memory verse is going to show us even more about what it means to know God and experience God fully, because it comes from Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 13. You will seek me and find me when you seek me with all your heart.
Okay, so let's talk about the theme of this series. As we've already talked about, the theme is museums, but think kind of broadly here about all the different kinds of museums, even things like art galleries. We mentioned aquariums, zoos, cultural museums, all of those things. You can kind of mess around with the look of all of those different types of museums as you're getting ready for the series. And so just think about through all of that, all the ways that you can specifically engage all of kids' senses as we get into the theme. So Linda, why don't you give us some specifics for the series?
Yeah, and the great thing about this theme is just a quick Google search and you'll find all the pictures and inspiration you need. But we did cut out some of that work for you, so make sure you check out our programming guide that has a lot of cool ideas, not just for decorations, but for additional craft activities, giveaways, prizes, all that stuff. Here are a few things that I personally really like, though, that I think you would really also enjoy. If you want to go for that natural history museum look, you can check out this image right here. I mean, it is kind of like a birthday party decoration, but, I think church decorations are kind of one hop skip away from birthday party decorations. So, go wild with the fossils, the dinosaurs and plants and figurines and inflatable animals. Like, you can just have so much fun with that. Woolly mammoths, I think, would be really cool. You can bring in that Ice Age vibe, I suppose. And then this next part is like an art gallery museum thing. So if you wanted to go this route, you can make it a very upscale gallery. You can put up large frames and have little stanchions, and we can have, figurines on display. And it doesn't have to be like famous works of art. It can be anything. You can spray paint and just make it look like something historical just to add to the decorations. And that would be really fun. This next thing I just want to point out would be a wonderful favor or a craft activity to do, and that is kaleidoscopes. I personally just love kaleidoscopes. And I remember every museum I went to, I have a kaleidoscope from that museum. I don't know why. I just was really fascinated by them. So I want to share my fascination with all of you. So check out these kaleidoscope favors, or check out these craft kits that you can do with your kids. And lastly, there's a lot of fun you can do with fossils. So you can get these little dinosaur sculptures and use Play-Doh to make these fossils, or you can make fossil-shaped cookies for your little ones. I think we'd have a lot of fun just playing up this theme in all the different ways.
And next up, let's take a look at the structure of this series. So if you are familiar with Grill, you already maybe have noticed this, but every single week of our curriculum has a couple things in common. We always split every lesson into 3 sections. So that is the what section. That's kind of the fun intro into what we're talking about. The so what section, which is why what we're talking about is important, why it matters, both to God and to us. And so this is where really most of the Bible teaching lives. And then we always close with a now what section, which is the application. So encouraging kids to actually do something with the things that they learned. So those are the 3 things. But within that, every series looks a little different. Every week looks a little bit different. So Linda, why don't you tell us what's unique and interesting about this series in particular?
I mean, A Day at the Museum is such a unique and special series because each week does focus on a different museum motif. So one week you are at a natural history museum, another week you're at an aquarium, another week you might be at an art gallery. So it is a lot of fun. So you can have fun decorating with that, and also just activities you do will play to that theme. But I think something that makes it even more special and makes it stand out is how we do our big idea reveals this month, and also our small group activities this month.
So if you are new to Grow, the big idea reveals are something that we do every single week. And so we've already covered the big ideas for the series, but we like to make a really big deal out of those big ideas. Hopefully that kids will remember them. So we try to give them something fun and experiential to help them remember those big ideas. So what is interesting and unique about these big idea reveals, Linda?
So this month's big idea reveal, we are encouraging you to get a large piece of butcher paper and write the big idea in advance in white crayon. You know where this is going. We are going to do some crayon resist art with this. But the fun part is we're going to actually ask you to put it into an art tube like this one. Or, if you don't want to purchase one because you feel like you're never going to use it again, you can make your own using gift wrap rolls. So, it's December now, so go ahead and save up those gift wrap rolls this season, and you can make a really cool art tube that you pull the butcher paper out of, lay it out on the ground or on the wall, however you want to do it, and invite kids to come up and help you paint it with watercolor paint. And so you can all get to know the big idea together. I think it's a super cool and on-theme way to do the big idea this month.
Awesome. And then you mentioned also the small group activities, Linda. So in our elementary curriculum, in case you guys don't know, we always offer a preschool and an elementary version of every week of our curriculum. In our preschool curriculum, there's kind of like some discussion, preschool appropriate discussion that's already woven in. But in our elementary curriculum, we have a separate small group time for those of you who break out into small groups. And in there, we always have a really simple activity that small group leaders can do with very little to no prep. So what do those look like for this series, Linda?
So for the small group activity each week, we are getting hands-on and we're going to have kids make things. And I don't know about you, but as a child, going to a museum was super fun, but even more fun was visiting the gift shop on the way out. And so you can't go to a museum without a souvenir. So every small group activity this month is going to be a different souvenir item, and it's a play on the popular ones. So for example, the first week, we're doing a postcard, right? And so we have this cool printable ready for you that you can have kids decorate, fill out. And then once they're done, they can fold it in half and glue it. So they have this postcard printable. For week 2, we have a pressed penny activity, just not really a pressed penny because, those machines are probably very expensive. So we're going to do a paper version of that. But make sure you have those like copper, bronze colored crayons or markers available for the kids to do this activity. For week 3, we are doing like a mug souvenir, kind of like a toned down version of it, obviously. So you can either get these really cute paper mugs for them to decorate, or you can get these plastic mug kits that they sell already for you. So you don't even need to prepare anything. And then for week 4, we're doing fridge magnets. And this one does require a little bit of work because there's shrink paper involved. And I love shrink film. I just love it so much. So all you need is like a portable toaster oven, and you can do that in your space. But if you're a little bit apprehensive about doing that whole thing, just print the printable that we provide. Just scale it down and just have kids decorate it, and then you can laminate it, which is a lot easier way to go about doing that. And lastly, we are doing these really cool buttons, and a bonus I think the author included was to give scratch and sniff stickers in addition to that, and you can put it on top of the button for them, because that is the week I think we're talking about smell, so that would tie in perfectly.
That's so cute. I love it so much. Love a souvenir, love a museum. I am so excited for the series. So friends, just to kind of tie things up, we're just going to give you a few tips to help you just make the most of this series. And then we're going to wrap it up for this month. So let's take a look at what those tips are.
Okay, so the first tip for you is to actually go to a real museum. I know that seems like a no-brainer, but we don't really think about that because we think our ministry only happens at our church space. But expand and extend the experience by taking your kids to a local museum, maybe one kids actually already enjoy going to. And the great thing about museums is a lot of times they do have affordable rates for groups, and they have free days to go to. So check that out and just take this to the next level by going on a field trip together.
Love it. Tip number 2, get creative with your coloring pages. So this month's coloring pages are, I always love our coloring pages, but I really love the ones for the series. They really make the Bible stories kind of look like they are actually museum exhibits. So make sure you make a big deal of those. And if you aren't aware, we actually have our full coloring books kind of printed and bound that you can get on Amazon. So you can do that. If you haven't already given those out to kids, this could be a good chance to give those out. Or you could even print them out using Shutterfly or other printing services, maybe make them into a postcard or even a big poster, whatever you want to do. But, don't miss those because they're really cool.
Yeah, and I really like this idea because if you do choose to print out kids' work, like completed coloring pages as postcards, you can sell them in this next tip for you, which is to set up a gift shop. And like I already mentioned, gift shops were seriously my favorite thing. I think they still are my favorite thing at museums. I feel very uncultured saying that, but I just love looking around at all the different souvenirs, and I think kids do too. So you can, if you have a reward system in place, or if you don't, it doesn't really matter. This is a great month to actually do it. You can hand out museum bucks or whatever creative name you come up with each week, and kids can save up their spending money and spend it up at this gift shop that you prepare for them at the end of the month. And I think that would be a really cool way to elevate the series.
I would suggest maybe making, if you're going to make museum bucks, maybe put Carl's face in the center. That could be fun.
That would be perfect. Carl would love that. And you should send some to him.
Yeah. Yeah. That would be really nice. That would really make his day, I think. Amazing. And then our last tip is to get aligned with our adult curriculum. So if you are using our adult curriculum, which is called Grow Groups, it is meant for adult small groups, then the series that aligns with this one is called Unexpected. It doesn't totally align because it's a 4-week series and this is a 5-week series, but it does align with 4 of the 5 weeks. So if you guys want to get on the same page with your kids and your adults, this is a great opportunity to do that. So check that out. And that is just about it. But we do have one non-Day at the Museum related little tidbit for you, which is, Linda Moon, do you want to talk about VBS for a second?
Oh, yes. We love VBS, and we love VBS even more because with Grow, VBS is free. So we love making these resources available to all of you Grow and non-Grow users. And so we have an exciting announcement, and that is that our planning resources are available for you to download.
Woohoo!
Yay.
Yes, we are so excited. If you are not familiar, what we do is we do 2 VBS drops a year. So right now, like Linda mentioned, the planning resources are ready and available for you. And so that includes a ton of stuff to help you get prepped. We are also going to do another drop soon that has like all of the completed media, the videos, all of that stuff. Linda, what are some of the things that they can get today if they go to the website?
Okay, so this VBS that is coming out next year, that you can actually download the resources for now, is called On the Case, and it's a 4-day series about the parables of Jesus. And we're talking about the spiritual habits and helping kids draw closer to God and to each other. It's a wonderful little VBS that talks about mystery. The theme is super cute. And so what you can download today is a how-to guide, especially if you're a first-time VBS director. We give you all of the tools you're going to need to set up the VBS in your ministry. We also have the programming guide, like we were talking about with A Day at the Museum. We have some ideas for you in terms of decorations and some supplies you might need, crafts, games, and other prizes and things. And we also have a ton of graphics, flyers, bumper videos, fun stuff that you can do to start promoting VBS in your church.
Amazing. So go check that out, friends. Again, there will be more available shortly with like the completed teaching content and all of the video. There's also a really fun original song that our team is so excited for you to hear. Brooklyn on our team, I'm pretty sure, said that she thinks it is the best song about spiritual formation that has ever been made, which, I mean, I don't know what other songs are in that category specifically, but that's fine. If Brooklyn thinks we get the top spot, then I believe her. Yeah.
Yes. Whatever. If you're looking for a song about our 4 spiritual habits, this is the song.
Perfect. I love it. Amazing. Okay, so that is that. So friends, we have covered all the things for A Day at the Museum. We have talked a little bit about VBS, but that is all we have for you today. So thank you so much for hanging out with us. Hopefully this was helpful. Hopefully this gave you a nice head start on your planning and your prep for this series. And as always, we always love to see all of your pictures and your videos, and we want to hear your stories. We want to hear like your amazing, unique ideas of how you like leveled up all of the stuff that we give you to make it even more you. So please share those things. We would love to see them. You can do that in our Facebook group, which is called Stuff You Can Use, a Children's Ministry Community. And we would love to hear from you. So thanks again for hanging with us. We will see you next time on the next deep dive. Bye, friends.